since the Attorney General released his summary of the highly anticipated Mueller report. Right now, the president meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and they expected to formally announce the recognition of the disputed Golan Heights as part of Israel, a major shift in decades of U.S. policy.
We will bring you the president just as soon as we see him right there.
Fox News alert, we are awaiting President Trump's first public comments at the White House.
The president there claiming total vindication after the Mueller report finds no evidence that any member of his campaign conspired or coordinated with Russia to influence the 2016 election. But Democrats pushing ahead with calls for more investigations and demands to release the full Mueller report, pointing to the open-ended result of Mueller's
obstruction probe.
This is Outnumbered, and I'm Melissa Francis. Here today,
Harris Faulkner, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth, Fox News contributor Jessica Charlov, and joining us in the center seat for the very first time, former California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa. He's outnumbered, but we are going to go to the president before you get a word in edgewise, because the president is out there right now, we understand. Yes? Here we go. Here's the president with Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's listen. Okay, you can see the president there with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He was signing a proclamation recognizing the Golan Heights as part of Israel, right there talking with Benjamin Netanyahu as just 2 weeks from now, he faces a very difficult re-election against the backdrop of a lot of scandal in that country. I want to bring it back out to the couch here. Congressman, what's your take on the closeness between these two men? Obviously giving a boost to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when he's really under siege for so many scandals back home, but they're trying to make the point he has been great for the state of Israel. Does that outweigh what you may think of him ethically amid all these scandals? I think that's the case that's being made to voters back home.
Well, I think the president is making a statement about the last 18 years. You know, 18 years ago, the outgoing Clinton administration.
Yeah. Jessica, I would ask you, I mean, it's very interesting. You see Benjamin Netanyahu come out and saying unequivocally, you are the best friend that Israel has ever had. And this is creating an interesting new dynamic right now between the parties, because it does seem like President Trump, who builds coalitions and isn't necessarily Republican on everything, is trying to cleave off this group that's pro-Israel from the Democrat Party. Is that a good strategy? Does that work?
On in the past, obviously, with the anti-Semitic tropes, and he's spoken
so
before
you think
Jewish
he's anti-Semitic in spite of all this?
I don't think that he minds having support from anti-Semites. I think he has dabbled in hugely dangerous language that is anti-Semitic. I don't think that having Jewish family makes you not an anti-Semite. And
for the Golan Heights, and it is undeniable that the Democrat Party has a risk. We saw that with Steny Hoyer at AIPAC, calling out freshman members of Congress, Max Rose apologizing to his constituents for the comments of some of the members of his party.
All right, sorry, much more to discuss on the other side. The Mueller report clearing President Trump of collusion, but not drawing a final conclusion on obstruction. We'll talk about that next. Renewed calls in the wake of the Mueller report to get to the bottom of how the Mueller investigation began in the first place.
The president slamming the special counsel's report as an illegal takedown that failed and suggesting it's time to look at the other side. Now, top Republican and chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham, vowing to get to the bottom of it all and meeting with Attorney General Barr this hour. Here's Graham earlier this morning.
When it comes to the FISA warrant, the other side of the story.
A source now telling Fox News Special Counsel Mueller told Attorney General William Barr and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein that he would not be able to reach a conclusion on obstruction of justice 3 weeks ago. And we also want to tell you that the president did make a comment when he was in with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about the Mueller report, and we'll bring that to you just as soon as we have it.
But in the meantime, I would ask you, so all of that surveillance and all of that wiretapping and all of that focus, yet there was no one colluding, no one in the campaign, no one associated. So it sort of takes you down the road of, how did all that get started? And why was there so much listening in?
Well, there's never been a campaign that was more eavesdropped in, perhaps since Barry Goldwater, when his aircraft was bugged by the FBI. This is an example, though, of the one who made the accusation, when the accusation turns out to be wrong, in other words, Hillary Clinton, people tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
But Jessica, I would say, rather than Hillary Clinton, it was President Obama was the one that started this and started talking about the Russians and kind of pointed, that the Justice Department at that point in President Trump's direction.
And Mitch McConnell was the one who told President Obama that he didn't want to investigate further about Russian interference. I can't believe that we just got the fit over this, and some are even going to jail.
For 1 second there, because we had Donna Brazile on not too long ago, and she said that this is very common, that what happens is the Russians reach out to everyone. And within this report, we saw that, they say there were many attempts to try and infiltrate the campaign, and no one took the bait on President
I would
Trump's
guess
team.
that it doesn't usually happen that your campaign manager shares polling data, for instance, with Russians. That's a Paul Manafort special. I would guess that you don't usually hire someone like Carter Page who brags that they have had roles in Russia.
I'm the only one here that's had 10 different elections, 9 of which I won.
I'll get there one day.
And the reality is that.
All right, in the meantime, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders blasting Democrats in the mainstream media, saying they owe a big apology after the special counsel found no proof the president colluded with Russia.
I think Democrats and the liberal media owe the president and they owe the American people an apology.
And Donald Trump Jr., who was also the subject of much speculation, says in a statement, sadly, instead of apologizing for needlessly destabilizing the country in a transparent attempt to delegitimize the 2016 election, it is clear that the collusion truthers in the media and the Democrat Party are only going to double down on their sick and twisted conspiracy theories moving forward. In the meantime, National Review editor Rich Lowry tweeting, the 3 biggest losers from the Mueller report in order: the media, the media, and the media. He was obsessed and hysterical for 2 years, constantly suggesting the smoking gun Russia revelation was just over the horizon. Lisa, I'll start with you. Is there a big credibility hit now when there were so many breathless reports about, don't get near this one, that one's about to be indicted, this one's going to jail, and then nothing?
100%. I actually wrote about this in 2017 about what would happen to the media if the collusion narrative ended up being a bust. And I think the best example, dossier in full.
Interesting.
Come on.
Yeah, Congressman, so her point being
Little
that
collusion there, you'd say.
Yeah, they couldn't find a reason to come out with this stuff that was otherwise gossip, but if there was a meeting, they could hang it on there. And that's going on to, sort of link cooperation
And this
between
is something
the media
that the FBI and Department of Justice have to be prevented from doing in the future. This is where Comey and others, in fact, overstep their bounds by creating
But how do you
news.
do that? How do you stop something like that, as you're saying, from happening again? But at the same time, you have to have, obviously, an independent FBI and DOJ that can go out and investigate what they think are crimes.
Because the FBI and the Department of Justice normally have rules that are pretty solid, that you don't disclose, you don't answer questions, they have to stick to it when it becomes convenient to leak something like they did.
New questions about the impact of the Mueller report on Democrats. Politico is reporting that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi may have won some wiggle room to rebut demands for impeachment from the left and refocus on the agenda that helped the party retake the House. However, the lack of a smoking gun or any further indictments in the Mueller probe is not stopping Congressman Al Green from continuing to call for President Trump's impeachment. The Texas Democrat tweeting yesterday, Mueller's report did not investigate bigotry emanating from the presidency harming our country. The findings do not negate the president's bigotry. As long as bigotry influences the president's policies, I will continue to seek his impeachment. Hashtag impeachment is not dead. All right, Jessica, you wrote a fantastic piece, I must say, on FoxNews.com. Nancy Pelosi was the only one exonerated by Barr's summary of the Mueller probe. Tell us your reasoning.
My reasoning is that Nancy Pelosi has been an amazing leader for Democrats for some time now, and all of this talk majority back, we're going to be fine. And I thought it was worth pointing out.
Congressman, I would ask you, for the politicians that get out there and promise everything, because there were a bunch of people, not a bunch, there was a group of Democrats that were elected on the idea of impeachment, and we want Trump out, we want him out at any chance. Is there a price to be paid for that or not? I mean, maybe it's you did the best you could, oh, well, we tried.
Well, the people that for the most
Republicans hold the Senate majority.
Well, and Congressman Green, as you saw, he's now talking about bigotry as an impeachable offense.
All right, more Outnumbered in just a moment. Don't go away.